Hello, everyone. Hi. Welcome to the workshop. So many people listening. As people are joining, I'd love if you could all share, your name, where you're from, what are you excited to learn. If we haven't met yet, my name's Roselle. I'm over here in California. Oh my gosh, why is this not letting me do full screen? Here, let me try this again.
Was it homecoming? That's what it was.
Okay. Let's see the chat real quick. Let's see. Lori's from Seattle. Trang is from, oh, sorry, I said it wrong. Jang, is that right? Yes, okay. From Kansas, Erin from Denver. Awesome. We'll just give it a few more minutes. Olivia from Ohio. Kendra from Oakland. Wow. Lauren from Indianapolis. North Dakota. Corey from Sacramento. I am also from Sacramento. Wow. Cindy from Humboldt. Simone from Grand Canyon, Cayman Islands. Angela from Pennsylvania. Hello. Kendall. Yay. Kendall's here. Abigail from Massachusetts. Sumi from Queenstown, New Zealand, right? That's what NZ stands for, I think. Kat from Los Angeles. Gracie from East Bay Area, California. Wow, we have so many people here today from so many different places. How exciting. Okay, I think it's time to get started. So just a reminder, if all of you could just mute yourself so that we don't get any like weird echoes or anything like that. I'm sure people will join as we get started. But today is the Create Your Offer workshop where you'll learn how to turn your transformation story into a high ticket offer that sells. My name is Roselle. But I'd love to start with what is everyone's intention for this workshop today. And I'll start with my intention. My intention is that all of you either learn something new and walk away with some like higher form of confidence and clarity around your offer, around your story, and why you are the perfect person to offer exactly whatever it is that you want to offer today. So go ahead and share with me in the chat what that is. For some reason, I can't see the chat and be in my full screen at the same time. Okay. So share with me your intentions in the chat, please. To learn about methods and way of doing business, inspiration and motivation, to gain confidence and clarity with using your story to sell your offer. Love that. Awesome. Cool. I think it's really important to ground into an intention whenever you're learning something new. Okay, so every time I host an event, I always like to do some sort of giveaway. So if at any point during this workshop, if something is like, you learn something new, or you're like, wow, that's really interesting, or you write out your story, or you answer a question and you're like, wow, I just had a little mini breakthrough moment. Go ahead and tag me on Instagram or Facebook and post that on your story. And whoever is, sharing anything from this workshop, you will be entered in a giveaway to win a 1-hour intensive with me. So my Instagram handle is @BecomingRoselle if you want to connect with me. but let's get started. Okay, so real quick, my story is I went from being burnt out, unfulfilled. I was working paycheck to paycheck. Like I was not happy at my job. I was going to school at the same time, and I didn't really like see a way out of it. Like I wanted more for myself. And so I went from that to signing like high ticket coaching clients, like over 3,000 plus with ease, coaching and training women from my computer.
No, but you're straight here and then you get into a fight with me, and I'm just holding my kid. I'm doing. And stop. Don't remember a fight? No, I'm not gonna get it to you. I know, Freezen, but you can't talk. No, I'm a stranger.
Yeah.
I'm a stranger. I'm a stranger. Okay. Don't please forget. Can you say your hi? Jojo.
Okay, cool. Thank you. So I went from being super unfulfilled to attracting coaching clients, high ticket coaching clients, and coaching and training women from my computer, having the time, like still having the time and energy for money, for travel, for, paying off my debt, for hobbies and my relationships. And just a little background information, I'm actually a certified life coach through Integral Circle. I'm ICF ACC credentialed. My educational background, I studied psychology and minored in communications. I have over 6 years of corporate sales experience. I'm also a lead coach trainer for IGC. So if you're in the upcoming coach training cohort, you will definitely see me. And I work as a sales enablement specialist. So basically I just train and enable people to make better sales. My whole background is just pretty much marketing and sales. And you will learn more about my story and how I got to where I am now, so that you can see an example of how to also look at your own story for what you want to create in your coaching business. Okay, so a transformational offer is already within you. All of you have so many big and small transformations. All of you already have so many different results that you can speak to in your life, because we've all already gone through so many journeys in our lifetime over and over again to become the person that we are today. And so because of that, the old way of doing business is essentially like you choose your niche, you do market research, and then you work with free beta clients, which is totally fine if you want to do all of that. Like I've done all of that in the past before. But today I want to introduce you into a different way, which is that you be your own niche. Okay, how do we do that? So essentially, you're going to turn your own story and that transformation that you've created into an offer. So instead of choosing your niche, right? Like maybe I want to be a relationship coach or a career coach. And then you market research and you try to figure out what all the different needs are. And then you work with free beta clients or whatever, so you can figure out the perfect offer. Instead, you start with yourself, because you are your own best client. And I believe, and I teach this, that your best market research is yourself and the people who are willing to pay you, because your coaching offer is something that evolves and evolves over time. So essentially, you're working a different way around in your business. Okay, so this is basically about where are you already walking the walk? Where in your life are you already in the embodiment of a transformation that you can speak to now? Like I said, there are so many different transformations. I just happened to choose to become like a marketing coach and what I'm doing right now, because that's what really excited me and what I felt really called and compelled to do. However, I can speak to my experiences like managing my anxiety. I can speak to my experiences managing stress, balancing a 9 to 5. I can speak to so many different things, and I can create so many different offers if I really wanted to. And like I said, it's like, what results can you already speak to? All right, so how do we do this? So step one is to outline your transformation timeline. Okay, it's to look at your own journey. And I'm going to walk you through an example. This is just an example of my own journey, but obviously there's so many other journeys I've gone through in my life. But you can see here in the beginning, like my first business, I started an e-com business. And while that e-com business didn't do well at first, what I did learn was that I was actually really good at social media growth. Like I grew my business's social media following to over 13,000. And so while I realized like, oh, e-com's not for me, I decided to offer social media management services because I knew how to do that. But in the background, I was learning all these different things about meditating, going to therapy. I was overcoming anxiety, anger issues. And as I went through that experience, I felt super excited to share what I learned. So I started like my first blog. I started vlogging about emotional health, and like some of my content like started to pick up a lot of traction. And because I picked up a lot of traction, that's when I attracted my first like social media clients and my marketing internships. But I wanted more. Like I still wanted to help people like on a deeper level. I knew something was missing. Like I knew I wasn't meant to just create content for the rest of my life. And that's why I enrolled into coach training with IGC. And my first offer was to help, like, I just talked about what I had gone through in my life, which happened to be a lot with like emotional wellness. And this was before I knew a lot about like what it meant to be a coach, right? Because this is the very beginning of my journey. And I started to attract a bunch of like college students because I was only 23 at the time, who were struggling with the same things that I was struggling with. They were struggling with anxiety, pressure from their parents. They were struggling with managing school. They were struggling with, you know, what to do with their degree or what's going to happen when they graduate. And I realized like, oh, this is all people from like, this is my past self. And that's when like things started to click for me. And I realized like, oh, the reason why I'm attracting these people is because of my story. And my offer basically just helped them get to where I already was. Okay. And so then things started to pivot again in the winter of 2020 when I started receiving a lot of interest in like, you know, my marketing and my content because people were seeing me being visible as a coach. And then I created my first coaching offer that helped service providers with their visibility. And then I created like my first high ticket clients in that arena. I started stepping up into a higher level, and I decided to narrow the people I like served to become primarily coaches. So the point is like, even though not all of my offers were coaching, like I want you to see how my journey is what led to my decisions, right? Like every up and down I went through, that basically created the clarity for what I could create right there and right like at that moment. And for some of you, it's going to be different things. Like when some people do this, they'll notice different things. Like they'll notice that a big part of their story is like relationships. Some people notice that like becoming a mom was like the most pivotal thing that changed for them. Some people, it was always like their career. And some people will notice it's like their spirituality. Okay, so because of this, we're going to spend the next 10 minutes, all of you, just creating your own timeline. And I want you to release the pressure, the expectation that it has to look a certain way. You don't have to do a timeline like mine, where it's like a straight line. You can do a mind map, you can journal, you can just write out a list and just write all the ups and downs that you've gone to. You can start from childhood. If you know there was a pivotal moment in your life, you can start from there. But yeah, so let's all spend a few minutes doing that, and I'll check back in and see what comes up for everyone. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat. I'm going to try to play music. I don't know if it's going to work, but let me know if it does. Okay, the music isn't working, but I'll figure that out and y'all just work on your timeline. Yeah, so I can't play the music because the audio has to be shared from the same tab, but that's fine. Just a few more minutes working on your transformation timeline. It's more important. So it's all fine. Okay, I can tell everyone is thinking really hard and doing a lot of reflecting. So I know 10-ish minutes is not enough to capture your entire lifespan's journey, but I'd love to hear from any of you. What did you notice when you started writing this down? What came up for you? You can drop it in the chat. Did you notice any patterns? Did you realize anything? Did you notice that there's like one moment, or were there like multiple pivotal moments that led you to where you are today, why you're coaching? Kendra says, this is an excellent exercise. Thank you. Lori says, many patterns and common threads of consistency. Yeah, it's okay if y'all don't want to share what the specific patterns are. Angela's noticed that I have moments throughout many years of my life, work, relationships, spirituality. Okay, there's a lot of themes in different areas where you've grown. Catherine, that I have physically moved states, it would boost my self-trust and confidence, and I would be good no matter what. This allowed me to take bigger and bigger risks. I fell out of different job opportunities that provided value until landing my dream job, to provided value until landing, to personal growth, to now the most aligned job, coaching. That's very interesting. That's a very big realization. So like, I'm hearing, I could be wrong, that perhaps the type of people you want to serve are people who are, you know, on this journey of, you know, wanting to trust themselves and their confidence, to find like a more aligned like job or a more aligned life. And a big, very big part of what makes you unique, I think, is the part where you move a lot. And that's something a lot of people go through. I worked with a client who specifically served those that were in transition. Cool. So people are creating, I can tell that people are creating more awareness. Sumi says, one pivotal moment in 2018 when I became pregnant and it was unplanned, and the most stressful moment. However, from that moment, my mindset shifted. Corey says, I have a thread of organization, business, teaching young girls. Live, over the course of a few years, an abusive relationship that really inspired me to take accountability for all my life. Leaving that helped me take my power back. Then I saw the change in myself and began down the path of wanting others to experience that as well. Wow, I'm so happy. So many of you are putting the pieces together. And like I said, like 10 minutes is not, like, it really isn't enough, because we've all lived so many lives and we've all gone through so much. But like I said, like, my intention is for you to have some sort of clarity, and you can continue to flesh out your story and like really just look at it and realize that there are so many things already that you can create an offer around. Okay, once you have this realization within yourself, that's when you can then piece together like, okay, how am I going to package this and share this with the world? And we're going to walk through that today. So let's continue on. Give me a second. Okay, so now that we have our transformation timeline, okay, we have some understanding of who we are, our story, it all happened for a reason. I want to remind you all that the destination, the transformation, if you imagine that your coaching offer is like, you know, a journey, your offer is essentially the bridge that closes the gap from where they're at, and the destination is like where they want to be, which is also a place that you've most likely already like are at right now. So when you hear, like, I know this is common in like the industry, you hear people talking about like sell the transformation, sell the like the benefits, not the features. What they're talking about is like when you're like talking in your content or your marketing, or you're talking about your offer, selling the, like, people don't really have that much interest at first in like this this ride, right? Like imagine if you were planning a trip to go to Hawaii. The first thing you're thinking about isn't like the plane ride and like how many hours it is. The first thing you're thinking about is like, oh, what beaches are there? What's the weather like? Like what cool things can I do there? That's what people want to know about. So we want to know what the destination is first so that we can then build out the journey. Okay. So step 2 is to just choose a core transformation. Just choose a transformation. This is really when we get into like just making a decision. Like I said, there are so many different results that I could speak to if I really wanted to. And I know within myself that like the offer I'm creating right now has like deeper meaning behind it. For example, like I see a lot of new coaches, like they want to help people become more confident. They want to help people love themselves. They want to help people heal and release self-doubt. And that like really everything, no matter what you coach around, is really, it all always comes down to that. The reason people aren't at certain places because they do need to love themselves. They do need confidence. They do need to trust themselves, right? So just choose a transformation that you can speak to now. And like, if you're like, Roselle, I have so many things on my story, what do I choose? For the sake of today and for the sake of learning, let's just choose something for fun. Okay, let's just choose something for fun. Choose something on your timeline and just pretend that you're going to make an offer around that. Another like concept that I want to introduce to you all that I think really helps with making this core transformation idea, like it just makes it helps it like really sit with people a lot easier, is if you imagine your core transformation as your core currency. Now, what does that mean? So like back in the old days, like when people traded or bartered, like they give, you'd give beads for like a silk robe or something. Okay, that's just an example. The reason why is because you're essentially doing an exchange of an equal unit of value. Okay, so when people invest into coaching, they're not necessarily investing into coaching, they're investing into healing from a breakup. They're investing into, learning to manage their anxiety. They're investing into spiritual awakening, like so many different things. And when we talk about like high ticket coaching specifically, like the value of the transformation has to be high enough, because if the desire for that transformation is large, it's very simple to understand that not having that transformation is also very large. Okay, so it's very clear to this person like why it's important for them to invest. When this is not clear, when your transformation or your core currency is not clear, this is when you get people who say like, I'm not ready to invest. Like, I don't know if this is for me, which goes into a lot of things, right? It goes into how you talk about your offer. But I just want to share this so that you can all understand the importance of knowing what like your transformation is. Okay. So moving forward, just to further like explain this confident like example, if we have a positive transformation, we want to increase those things. Okay. Obviously, if you have a negative like a negative thing, we want to decrease those things. Certain transformations are easy to like message and some are difficult because it's hard to measure them. Like if you create an offer around loving yourself, it's very hard to measure that. And when I say measure, what it means is it's difficult to like communicate the value of that tangibly in someone's mind. That doesn't mean you can't do it, but there is a way to do it. So for example, if you increase your self-love, what does that mean in the real world? I'll give you an example. I had a client who was a self-love coach. And when she began to love herself, she left toxic relationships. She left a toxic job. She like found a new job. And she just pretty much started her whole life over. And so those transformations of leaving the toxic job or healing from this and like revamping her life, that's what the transformation is that people are investing to, not the self-love. The self-love is like, the journey in order to get there. Okay. So now that we've gone through that, I have some more things for you to journal about, which is Now just kind of fleshing out your offer. Okay, like I said, if you don't know your transformation, or you do for the sake of this workshop, like let's just choose something for fun. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, it can be anything. So what is the end goal and result of your offer? What is the end goal or result? And we'll spend a few minutes writing about that. Suzanne said, women will feel confident, energized, and in control of their thoughts and feelings. Yeah, and so we can even make that more tangible by asking yourself what changes in their life because they feel more confident and in control in their thoughts and feelings. What does it look like to be more confident, energized, in control of their thoughts and feelings? What becomes possible? I'll give some examples. If I was in more control and energized around my thoughts and feelings, I'd probably take more risks. I'd probably ask for the promotion. I'd probably start the business. I'd probably, I don't know, ask the person out. Like those are just silly examples, but those are some examples. Corey says, businesswomen will feel organized in their personal and professional life. Same thing. This is good, but same thing. Like when they feel more organized in their personal and professional life, what happens? What changes? Chandra says, for women to find peace, find courage, and identify or create a plan to revamp their life after a traumatic loss, divorce specifically. Yeah, that's very specific, definitely. They will own their time to be more relaxed, develop the skills to provide comfort. Yeah, totally. Cool. They will have more time with their kids and pick up a hobby. Yes. Yay, everyone's creating transformations. I love it. Denise, journey from my life is ending due to divorce to my life is starting. Love that. Single women knowing their worth and being able to set boundaries, practice healthy detachment, and release what doesn't serve them. Totally. Change from limiting beliefs and rewrite your story. Yeah. Cool. Okay, let's move on to the next question. So the next question is, what problem does your offer solve? So I'll do an example from one of these here. Okay, so for women to find peace and find courage and identify to create a plan to revamp their life. Obviously the problem from this one specifically is like they're feeling unpeaceful. They don't have courage and they're suffering from a, traumatic loss. They're grieving. That's a very obvious problem to me. That can be an example for a problem. Another problem could be they don't even know, like they have the lack of clarity on how to heal from those things. They may feel a lack of support. So I'm sharing these examples to help you all think about what the problem could be that your offer solves. And if you come up with something, please share them in the chat. What problem does your offer solve? Chandra said not knowing their value, feeling unwanted or unworthy. Yeah. Shar says she doesn't understand her own energy or the energetic role she's here to fulfill. Totally. And so when you know these things, like you know the problem you solve, this is what you use in your content, y'all. Like this is what you talk about, is you go and create the content that helps either one, solve these problems. So like Chandra, I would create content around helping women like know their value, or helping people know their value, right? Telling them that they're worthy. And you can also make content about the transformation, obviously. Cool. Let's move on to the next one. So what is the journey that you're taking them on? Okay, what happens in each phases of the journey? What's the journey that you're taking them on? It's a pretty broad question, but for example, like bringing back that previous slide with the plane, right? Like, where are they at right now? If they're feeling unworthy or unwanted, what are the steps that gets them to being worthy and wanted? So what journey are you taking your clients on? This is really going to help you understand your offer even more, like all of the questions. Let's all take some time to reflect on that. This one's kind of a bigger question, so I'll leave a few more minutes for it. Shar says, are you saying what are the steps she takes / I would take her through? Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. And it can be the steps that they go through, or it could be like, you know, maybe at first they have to identify their like limiting beliefs, and then number 2, they need to integrate their new beliefs. Number 3, they learn how to love themselves. Just some examples. Oh, and hint, it is the same journey you already went through. Yeah. Okay. So let's move on to the next question, which is, who is this offer for? And when most people talk about like, know who your ideal client is, they're usually talking about like, you know, is it a woman, is it a man, what's their age, etc. But that's not really what matters. What matters is like, who is this, like, who is this person? What do they think? What do they feel? What do they want? What are they afraid of? What do they value? And I'll give you an example. Like, obviously, I help a lot of coaches like create clients. That's pretty clear, but it's really a lot bigger than that. My offer is for people that, you know, have a desire to serve at a higher level. They're for people who are, you know, who feel like they're gifted and they have more to share, but they need to work on their confidence in order to do that. It's for people that like have a mission, but they just need some clarity and guidance on how to like communicate that with the world. It's a lot deeper than the fact that they're coaches. Okay, so who is your offer for? Corey says, my client feels overwhelmed, so I'm allowing them to get all of their ideas, big or small, identify the intent behind each idea, then make a plan to go after. Yeah, so I'm hearing that like a big part in the journey that you take people on is to first identify their ideas. Yeah, that's definitely a good part of an offer. Shar says an empath and HSP women struggling with anxiety, feeling detached from themselves, the word, family and friends, burnt out, loss of purpose. The world, sorry. And it could be like what they value too. So like, I'll give an example. One thing about my clients is they really value their health and well-being, that should always come before their business. That's something I talk about a lot because that's a big part of my journey. Shar says they value inner peace. Cool. Who else would like to share what's coming up for them? I'd love to get one more person before we move on to the next question. Corey says they value structure, consistency. Yeah, I see a lot of question marks there. If that's what you believe you like your client values, then that's your person. Don't question it. Chandra says, my client is tired of feeling low, sad, and living in the pit of hurt. She's ready to enjoy life again, ready to identify who she is now in post-marriage. She was always more than a wife, but now she must find that she's ready to take on life and trust the process again. Wow, that was so good. It's very clear to me. Okay, next one. Why do they want this offer and why now? So I'll give an example again. So with the client I have that is a self-love coach. Okay, the reason why they want it is because they come to this place where their life is just like, they don't like anything about their life. They don't like their relationship. They don't like their job. They literally don't like anything. And the reason why they want it now is because they're ready to like create a life that they actually love. And the reason why it's now is because they know that if they wait another 3 months and like don't work in this or whatever, like nothing's probably going to change. Okay, they want their life to change essentially. So why do people want your offer and why do they want it now? Some of these questions may seem repetitive, but it's important. So that's a good thing. That means you are very clear in what it is. Mm-hmm. Michaela says, I'm finding that I am attracting clients that are looking to expand their self-love and confidence within themselves. Suzanne says they want to feel whole, alive, and live a life of purpose. Yes. Awesome. Let's move on to the next question. What do they want to be? What do they want to do? What do they want to have? So let's do an example. Suzanne, they want to be whole. What do they want to do? They want to have a life of purpose, but what do they want to do because of that? They want to execute their innate talents. Totally. What do they want to be, do, and have? Corey says they want structure and consistency now because they have experienced some success and want to continue that feeling. As a result, they want to grow in habits in the areas they struggle with. Shar says to be relaxed, own their time, have luxurious experiences. Yeah. Again, she wants to experience love again, but first she wants to find herself, love herself, and heal from trauma. Lori to be great leaders and have impact and balance. Yeah, so again, I cannot stress this enough. What they want to be, do, and have, this is your offer. Okay, that's what people are paying you for, is for like some coaching and guidance to get and become that person and to have those things and to do this thing. And when you work with them, the goal is to take them on this journey that gets them to be the great leaders and have the impact and balance, etc. Okay, how else will this change their life? So we know the core transformation, we know, what they're going to become, we know who they're going to be, we know what they're going to do, but what else will this change in their life? Okay, because every offer has multiple benefits, and sometimes we for some reason don't communicate all of this. So for example, if I help a coach create a client, that's the core transformation, a lot of other things in their life change because of that and because of this journey. They become more confident, they're willing to show up differently in different areas of their life, they're more likely to establish boundaries or ask for what they want at work or in their relationships. They'll be able to travel. There's so many other things that become possible beyond just that transformation. Suzanne says to feel more energized, centered, and more in flow. This will empower students to understand how to take control of their own health through detoxing. Also, how to teach others to heal their bodies through food. Wow. How else will this change their life? Put themselves in the equation, self-care. Yeah, so when you start practicing self-care, what else does that change? More motivation, increased income, easier focus on passions, they find their purpose. Absolutely. Okay, the next question is, what is this offer taking a stand for? What opportunity does it create? So beyond just this creating a transformation, what is the larger ripple effect for everybody? So what does this mean? In my own work, I know the deeper reason is because when I help more women create the clients and go through the entire journey that they go through in order to get there, more people are served, more people hear their message, more people hear their story, more people are coached, more people overcome their limiting beliefs, and it just creates a ripple effect of generational impact. Okay, that is really what my offer stands for beyond just the transformation. So for you, what is this offer taking a stand for? What opportunity does it create? Even if it's a small, to you it seems small, if it's just to help people, that is still taking a stand for something. Shar says creates the opportunity for enhanced quality of life, not just for her, but her family and closest friends. For moms to be healthier role models for their children and daughters. Wow. Let's get one more person. What is this offer taking a stand for? What opportunity does it create? Catherine, living out your own unique path, which will ultimately make you a happier, more fulfilled human. Exactly. These get me so excited, y'all, because when you start overthinking your offer, or you find yourself in a place of not taking action, or you're not selling, you can lean into like what this is really about beyond everything else, you will show up from such a bigger place, and a lot of the other things will become really simple. Okay. Next question. What stories do you have around this? So, like we just did our transformation timeline, you probably saw, like, you were probably reminded of different stories you have in your life. So, for example, with Catherine's example of, like, living out your unique path, what stories do you have around that? When, like, at what point did you realize you had a unique path? What obstacles did it take to create a unique path? When did you realize that having a unique path was important? At what point did you hire a coach? Maybe at one point you decided to read a book and that like changed everything for you. Maybe at one point you really hit a roadblock and you decided like, this is it, like I am living my own path. What stories do you have around that? A conversation you had with somebody and it like awoke a light bulb in your mind. Let's take a few minutes to reflect on that. Yeah. So the question is, what stories do you have around this? So what stories do you have around your offer? Or you can think about it as like, what stories do you have around the transformation? Which could be like, so for example, for me, like I have the story of when I attracted my first client. I have the story of when I hired a business coach. I have the story of, the times I was really doubting myself and I really wanted to give up. I like have so many different stories connected to this offer. So what are some that you have for yourself? Suzanne said seeing a coach allowed me to get honest with myself and what needed to change and the path and skills to make the change. Augustina said had to take care of me and my sister and left home at 17, but for the next 10 years, struggled immensely on every level a person can struggle in, wishing that I had help or guidance along the way. Yeah, so these are things to talk about and to share with others and to explain to them like, hey, I have been there. This is what I did. If you want to learn how to do the same, this is my offer. But I hope also you can see that because you have all these stories, you already have everything it takes to help somebody and create this offer and start selling it. For all of you. Okay, so let's move on. So step 3, okay, essentially what we just did is we looked at our transformation timeline, right? We like looked, this is the journey I've been on. And then we chose our transformation, right? And then when we know the transformation, the problem it solves, who it's for, etc., the very last step is to essentially reverse engineer all the steps to create the desired transformation. This is when we get into like the actual offer part. And some questions you can ask yourself when you're doing this is, what do they need to know in order to X? So what do they need to know in order to live a unique path? What do they need to know in order to heal from XYZ? What do they need to know in order to become more organized? Who do they need to be? Who do they need to be in order to XYZ? What do they need to believe? What do they need to believe about themselves? What do they need to believe about the world? What do they need to believe about others? If it's like relationship based or something, what do they need to believe about health? I saw we had some health examples in there. What do they need to believe about spirituality? What do they need to believe? We want to outline all of these things and essentially map out a journey. So I'm going to give you all an example that I created. It's a very simple example, but this is an offer for someone, like their offer is about attracting your soulmate. And so I essentially just reverse engineered, right, all the steps it would take in order to attract your soulmate. So in the first month, it's like removing, baggage from previous relationships, or rewriting limiting beliefs that are blocking your soulmate from appearing. I called that part of this framework release, the first month. Month 2 is to align, get clear on exactly who your perfect person is, cultivate confidence, begin dating. Month 3 is to make a plan to socialize and meet new people, dating do's and don'ts. Okay, so this is like just the offer I made up, okay? But essentially, this framework, it gives something for other people to be like, okay, I want to attract my soulmate. You've done it too before. You've helped other people do it, but how are we going to do this? That's what people ask, okay? They're like, how are we actually going to do this? And then you can literally explain them to them like, well, in the first month, you're going to want to do X, and then we're going to do this. And then month 3, we're going to do this, or something like that. And this, again, is something you can talk about in your messaging. This is something you can talk about in your sales calls. You can put it on your website if you want to put it on your website. But people just want to know, like, what is the journey that's going to get them from point A to point B, okay? So that would be the next step for you all to create your offer. Cool. So I want to give some, just some client examples before we do Q&A. So this is the self-love coach that I mentioned. Her name is Haley. She was actually an Inner Glow Circle graduate. And so the offer that she had, the problem that it solved was that people were just completely unhappy with their lives. She took a very interesting approach to her offer, where it wasn't just one specific transformation, but she used her story of learning to love herself and how it changed her career, how it changed her relationships, how she left a toxic job, how she stopped people pleasing, just compromising herself for other people. And it affected multiple different transformations in her life. That was the approach she took. And she took those stories and did her marketing around that. So what we did was we got really clear on her transformation story, how she helped people and the value. And she understood when she understood what the value is of her offer, she definitely was able to show up from a place of leadership and authority, where people were finally interested in what she had to offer. She had been posting on social media for a year, and after she was able to attract 3 clients after working together. After 1 month, she made a total of 3,968. That's Haley, the self-love coach, okay? Another example that I have is Danielle. She came from a personal trainer background, but she wanted to make a coaching offer that was unique. She was not happy with what most of the fitness industry was doing. It was teaching people to lose weight in a way that wasn't really it wasn't very positive, I guess, and it didn't take a holistic approach. And so when we were able to look at her own story with improving her health, boosting her energy, and doing that from a place of self-love and just, enjoying, movement and being energized and having accountability, she decided to create a group program around this problem, around her story. And after 6 sessions, she attracted 15 new clients into the group program. So before we go into questions, to end, this is the only way to work with me right now. If you are interested, if you found this helpful, if you want some help creating your high ticket offer and enrolling clients into it, I'm currently working with people one-on-one in a private high-level coaching and mentorship experience. Creating your high ticket offer is just one of the things that we actually work on when we work together. Number 1, we're going to be working on the inner work, shifting your beliefs, the confidence it takes to show up and sell. Once you have your high ticket offer, we'll learn how to even message very specifically to the people that want to invest in the work that you're doing now, and they want to make that change now. And from there, you'll learn how to show up as an authority, and how to how to actually create content that creates curiosity and interest in your offers, and how to, show up as a leader in your sales. So if you're interested about that, DM me. And lastly, I have Q&A, questions about your offer, questions about working together. What questions do you have? Or just takeaways. What takeaways do you have today?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So when we're putting all this together and we're drafting it, say we're just using a Word document, is it going to be like paragraph form? Like, I feel like that would turn some clients off, or, if they have to read like a huge essay on, on their life experience and how they can help them. And I just feel like that can just be kind of lengthy. I don't know. I've never really looked at any pitches or have been pitched personally for life coaching. So I'm just kind of wondering.
Yeah, so your question is like, you have your offer, do I like write it up in paragraphs? No, you don't have to write it up in paragraph. I literally have my offer written out as bullet points. Nobody even asked me to look at it. So as long as you know what it is and you're talking about it and you can explain it on like a phone call, that is perfectly fine. You can create it as like, on your website where you just have like bullet points of, the phases, but it doesn't have to be a paragraph. It can just be like a sentence. Was that helpful, Corey? Any other questions?
Hi, I have a question. So like, I feel like my coaching offer, I really like business, but then I also like working with young girls, and it makes me feel like I have to choose between the two as far as like an offering. So is there ever like a place where you can like do both, or is that more harmful? Like, I don't like, does that make sense?
Yeah, so you're feeling called to serve like two different like audiences. That's what I'm hearing.
Exactly, yes.
So you can always make as many offers as you want, right? Like, it's your business, it's your choice, it's your decision. You can always do whatever you want. I'm just going to tell you what I suggest people, and you can take that and make your own decision off of it. I usually tell people to focus on one offer first. And the reason why is because some people still need to learn like their marketing and sales skills. And for a lot of people get stuck trying to manage like multiple different offers, multiple different audiences in the beginning. But once they gain the confidence with one offer, you can literally sell like anything. So you could either choose to do both. You could start with one, or you can ask yourself, like, what would doing both look like for you? What does that mean for you? Was that helpful?
Yeah, I guess the follow-up question is like, well, how do you choose which one? But I guess it's a personal thing, I guess. Thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, so like that's definitely some personal like reflection, but one thing I think that helps is like what feelings come up for you like in your body, or you can ask yourself like, what does my higher self say? If you communicate with God or a higher being, you can do that. You can do all sorts of things, but it's really leaning into like your bigness and your potential. Like, where do you feel like the most excitement right then? But yeah, that's definitely personal. Corey, did you have another question?
I have a question. I don't know if you can hear me. It's kind of loud here, so I apologize. In your example offer where you said attract your soulmate in 90 days, I get that's what the client is looking for, and it's not something that you can like guarantee, right? So is it okay to name an offer something like that?
Yeah, so it's totally fine too. It's important to remember that nobody can guarantee results. When we look at our clients as like empowered people with their own like self accountability and whatnot, all human beings know that nobody's going to step into my life and do the work, right? And like do the work for me so that I create X result. Like they need to know that that's their job. So what I'm saying is like, for you to have the confidence to sell like, you know, or message a specific transformation is to remember that you are offering the vehicle for transformation. It may happen in those 90 days. It may happen 6 months later. It may happen a year later. Like that's up to the client. And, you know, there are so many things that I've seen other people do. Like they'll talk about this in their sales calls. They'll talk about like, they'll have it on your website. Like, you know, I can't guarantee results, but this is the journey you're going to take and you're going to have everything you need in terms of like, you know, to supply you with like the tools necessary to get there. Does that make sense, Mayan? Am I saying your name right?
It does. It's Mayan. Yeah, it definitely does. That helps. Thank you.
Anyone else have a question?
So the offers could be anything stemming from one-on-one sessions to, I mean, something like the group activity you just went through now. What, I guess that is the challenge for me. Like, what does the offer that you would be presenting actually look like? What is the offer?
Yeah.
Like, I know what you're offering, but what is the offer?
Yeah. So like the question of like, how is the program delivered, basically? Yeah. So that's up to you. Like you can literally use this process to create a group program. You can use this process to do a one-on-one. If you really wanted to, you could use this to make like a 1-hour intensive. You know, I'm sure the framework you'd go through is not going to be as deep as a 3-month, right? When you outline the process, but you can use what we did today to create whatever kind of offer you want. Which also brings me to another point. I know most of you came here today to learn how to create an offer from your story. You don't have to actually do it that way. You can do it from your skills as well. But this is like a really great way for a lot of coaches because our stories is usually so connected to our purpose. Does that help, Chandra? Yeah, okay. Lori says, is just selling a retainer considered an offer and no packages? Yeah, some people do longer term things where it's like a year long, right? And so they're like on a retainer and it's just ongoing. Or some people will do like a 3-month package and the opportunity to resign after. That's another like personal choice in what you want to do logistically for your offer. Okay, I'll take like 2 more questions and I'll let you all go if that's it. I left my contact information in the chat if you want to learn more, connect with me on Instagram. If you do want to set up a free call, at that point I can personally like give you more clarity on like a roadmap of what it takes for you to, you know, create the clients and reach your specific goals when it comes to like strategy and also like the mindset part of it. So this was like a general solution, but if we, you know, speak one-on-one, I can definitely give you more personal clarity. Augustina says, this gave so much clarity, much appreciated. See you soon in the classes. Yay. Okay. Well, I want to thank you all for joining me today. I hope that you gained some confidence. I hope that you realize that you are exactly who you need to be in order to sell whatever it is you want to sell now. Oh, quick question. Shar says, what does it look like to use hashtags to get in front of people you want to work with? Yeah, it's more of like a marketing strategy piece. How I would use hashtags is to categorize based on the topic or like the type of service, if that makes sense. So for example, if I made a post about healing from divorce, I'd use hashtags about healing from divorce, and I'd probably use a hashtag like divorce coach or something like that. And that will help you reach those people because they're already looking up that topic. I hope that helps. Suzanne, thank you. Try to schedule a call. It's just spinning. Thank you. Yes, that makes perfect sense. Awesome. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your evening, night, whatever time it is. Have a great rest of your week. If you're in the upcoming class, I can't wait to see you all and learn more about you.